Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting day of music theory. Today, we're going to be talking about major scales and how to write them and how they are formed. So a little bit of a complex day today. So hope you ate your Wheaties. Let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. I'm going to split screen today so I can show you both the worksheet and the piano at the same time. Because within our scales, we're always going, whenever we're talking about scales and how to write them, we're going to give you a piano just so you have that for reference as well. So we know a lot about the major scale. We sing it all the time anytime we do sight reading, and it goes like this: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, so a major scale is made up of what are called two major tetrachords joined by a whole step. So a tetrachord, tetra literally means four, and a tetrachord is formed by putting two of these four notes together. So we form our major scale by putting these sets of two notes together. You'll notice that the interval between these tetrachords is whole, whole, half. So between C and D, we have a whole step. Between D and E, we have a whole step. And then we have a half step between E and F. So you can think of that as solfege, as between do and re, we have a whole step. Between re and mi, we have a whole step. And between mi and fa, we have a half step. Now, our second tetrachord, or our second set of four notes, also is a whole step between so and la. Between la and ti is a whole step, and then we have another half step between ti and do. So you'll notice whole, whole, half is how we create our tetrachord. So there's a whole step between the first two notes, between 1 and 2, and then 2 and 3, another whole step, and between your third and fourth note, there is a half step for both of those tetrachords. And again, a tetrachord is just a set of four notes, and then this is called a major tetrachord because we have whole, whole, half. That's what forms that major tetrachord. Now, when we combine those two sets, or those two tetrachords, we're going to have an interval between those two tetrachords as well. And whenever we talk about a major scale, we're going to have a whole step in between those two tetrachords. So for a major scale, if we put that all together, we're going to have whole, whole, half, a whole step in between the two tetrachords, and then whole, whole, half. So together that forms, for a major scale, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay, repeat that with me. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So that's kind of a complicated system to remember, but it'll make sense here hopefully shortly. Okay, so going back to the piano, and again, you'll have a piano anytime we're working on this. To break up our two tetrachords on the piano now, I'm going to play and sing those for you. So our first tetrachord is going to be do through fa. Do, re, mi, fa. That's our first tetrachord. So do to re is a whole step. Re, mi is a whole step. Mi, fa is a whole step. Then I'm going to hit so. So to la is a whole step. La to ti is a whole step. Ti to do is a whole step. You'll notice with our C major scale, just like our C major key signature, we're not using any sharp or flat keys. It's all the white keys on the keyboard. Mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? So no sharps or flats are needed in order to put that pattern together. Now, whenever we're going to start on a new note, just like with our key signatures, if we want to be in D major and have the D major scale so that it all sounds correctly, we're going to need to add some sharps or flats. So for our D major scale, we're going to start on D. Now, if I play this with just all white keys, again, starting on D and then ending on D, it's not going to sound right. Take a listen to that. So it doesn't sound right. Two notes in particular, do, re. That mi isn't where it's supposed to be. Fa, so sounds okay. La, ti, do. So T didn't sound right either, right? Because it was a C natural. So the two notes that sounded weird were the F for the mi and then the T. Those are the two notes that weren't right. And it just happens to correspond that for D major, we have two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. And those are the two notes that sound funky whenever we just play the white keys. So let's try and add F sharp and C sharp now and see if that sounds better. Sounds better to me. So now that sounds like a major scale. So the problem there, without those accidentals that we looked for, we were getting do to re as a whole step, but then re to the next note, we weren't getting the whole step that we needed. It's actually a half step because those two notes are right next to each other. So if we raise that to an F sharp, now all of a sudden it sounds like mi. And now we have our half step between mi and fa. So la, we need another whole step between la and ti. There's our C sharp, and then half step from ti to do. Okay, so that's why the whole steps and half steps are so important, and also why our accidentals are so important in making sure that whenever we do a key signature, that we have all of our sharps and flats. Otherwise, our scale isn't going to sound like the major scale. Okay, so now we have two ways to think of this. The first way, if we know our key signature already, so if I'm in G major, and I know G major has one sharp, F sharp, whenever I write that, I can just write a scale starting on G, and the key signature has done all of the work for me with my accidentals. So let's look at the piano. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So I know that I have that F sharp there. If I weren't to play an F sharp, T would sound really funky. So T wasn't quite high enough because it wasn't a whole step between la and T. If I raise it to an F sharp, now all of a sudden it sounds right, okay? So now with my key signature there, I just write in my G major scale. Remember, whenever we're writing a scale, we're going to have every single letter of our musical alphabet in there. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So there's my G major scale. And because of the key signature right here, I know that that F is going to be sharped every single time. Now, if I want to do it the method of the whole half with our tetrachords, we can do that as well. So if I know that I need to start on G, and I go G to A, that's a whole step because I skip a note in the middle. So I have G to A, that's a whole step. I write that in. I have A to B. Let's check, is that a whole step or a half step? A to B, that's a whole step already, so we're in good shape there. Then I have B to C. Those notes are right next to each other, so there's a half step. Now, between C, that's our first tetrachord, whole half. Now I need a whole step between C and the next note. So C to D, let's check our math. C to D, I skip a note, so that's a whole step. Now I'm going to go to E. D to E is a whole step, so that's good already. Now E to F, that is a half step. So I know that I need to add an accidental there to make that a whole step, so that E to F is a whole step. So La to T, and then F sharp to G. Those are right next to each other, so I know that that is a half step there. So that tetrachord now works. So I have whole, half, right? So there's my major tetrachord, whole, half. I have my other tetrachord, which is whole, half, and I have a whole step right there in the middle. And that puts our saying together, whole, half, whole, half. So now I have two major tetrachords combined to make that major scale. Notice that those are the exact same notes for the G major scale as if I just wrote in my key signature with the F sharp in the key signature. Tomorrow, we will talk more about the A major scale. If you want to go ahead and try some of those out, I'd recommend that you at least try one more. Try it using the key signature first, using the A major key signature, which is F, C, G, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. If you're not 100% on your key signatures yet, now's a good time to brush up on those. 3 sharps, A major, and you're just going to start on A, B, C, D, and then just keep going up to the next A. Now, double check your work by using that major scale with the 3 sharps and double check that you have the whole, half, whole, half with your piano. That's all we have for you today, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.